Hey guys, it is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur, coming at you tonight. This is Tuesday evening, June 28th, 2022. Just before midnight. We've got quite a bit of time before midnight, so we're getting this out a little earlier than sometimes. And if you are new to IFYL, well, you'll notice there's a QR code. Take your phone and use it to scan that QR code. Once you do, you'll be able to be redirected to my link tree, which has lots of great information to improve the quality of your life and everyone else in it that you know so much and care about. Plus, there's a brand new spot on believemeachieve.com, which you can get there as well without scanning the cube. You can just go to believemeachieve.com. There's something called John's Daily National Day Video. And what that is I take the day. So, like, for example, today was National Insurance Awareness Day. So I got up early to go find Martin at a local pet store and have a conversation with him and ask him if he'd help me out because I bought a brand new car and I was hoping he might be able to save me 15% or more on my car insurance. And he didn't respond. Anyway, so lots of great information. Definitely check it out. You know, we have the Jay Moore Tech Talk Show. There's so much content that we're pushing out, but this content's all for you guys and it'll improve the quality of your life. So definitely take a look at it. We start with a topic on Saturday and we go to Friday. So we have a master topic and then we have granular topics every single day of the week that talk about that. So what is that master topic, you are asking? Happy to tell you. It is great questions to start conversations. All right. So we talked a lot about the workday and your workforce, right? But what we didn't talk much about is what's a conversation that you want to use when you are meeting somebody brand new. This could be at a networking event or what have you. And so a lot of people just jump right in there and say, okay, I'm going to just shove a business card in front of somebody's face. And that's not the right tactic because when you do that, it pisses people off. And also, it shows that you really don't care about that person. I mean, that's really what it shows. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, that you need to have integrity. And so, if you meet somebody, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you understand how to say their first and last name. If you don't, just say, hey, that name sounds great. I don't want to botch it up. Would you give me a demonstration on how you say it, or could you say it for me? And they'll laugh maybe, and they'll say it for you. And, you know, I'll promise you this, you're not going to forget that name. Because things that we have fun with, things that we play with, we remember, right? All right. The next thing you want to do is become genuinely interested, like Dale Carnegie said. So, how do you ask a question and become interested? Well, one thing you can do is you can say to the person, um, what do you think about the appetizers today? And they'll share with you what they think. Maybe you can ask them a question if it's about the weather. You don't want to ask them, what the weather is, but you can say, gee, what do you think about our weather and the way it keeps going from highs to lows and lows to high? It's like we didn't even get a spring. We went right to summer. You could ask that question. Maybe you noticed the person when you pulled in have a new car because you noticed the temporary plates. You can say, hey, I noticed you got a new car. Just curious, how do you like it? Oh, I love it. And let them talk. You see, if you shut up and you let them talk, they're going to be so impressed with you because they love to talk. Talk, 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 talk. Now, when they talk, make sure you're listening because if you're not listening, well, then that's not going to go over very well. And then they're definitely not going to want to talk to you anymore, right? So, how do you talk to somebody? I guess is the question that you really want to ask me. And that question is pretty simple. We talked about the appetizers, the weather. Maybe we could talk about something else like it's the first time I've ever been at this venue. What do you think about the architecture here? And just be very light and very casual. Don't go in for the kill and say, gee, what kind of problems are you having? When is it? No, don't go into that. Just have a little bit of interest. What I like to say is be like a tea kettle, an old tea kettle boiling, and just bristle with a little bit of enthusiasm. And if you could do that, it's going to excite them enough, but it's not going to overwhelm them. I think the problem with a lot of people is they overwhelm others because they want to appear so interested. However, they come on too strong. And how do you handle that? Well, once somebody comes on too strong, it's too late. Like you don't get a second chance. So just come on nice and light. Um, Noticed you got a car because a new car. You were parked next to me. I was just wondering what do you think about that model? Oh, I love it. And then let them go into their story. And the gas mileage. And so let they say, oh, maybe they'll say something like, oh, and the gas mileage is great. Really good gas mileage. Yeah, let me tell you about a trip I had. And just kind of do that because they're gonna be literally just primed by those little words you just keep saying back to them about those little interests. And you might think you're doing nothing, but you are just like stirring up a positive fire and just getting them to talk so much that they want to share information with you. That's cool, right? That is so cool. And when you think about it, I know that it sounds a little crazy, but it's not because just showing a little bit of interest really gets their dopamine flowing. I mean, it really does. And you might say to me, John, how can just showing a little interest do this? Well, there's a long explanation. I'm going to give you the short explanation. The short explanation is that you communicate with that person and it causes them to get a little excited in the brain and it causes dopamine to flow. When that happens, their eyes dilate and they just become so ingratiated with the topic and with the story and sharing it with you. Now you're probably saying, John, well, when do I get to speak? Let them speak. At the end, they're going to ask you something. Like maybe they'll ask you something this time, maybe the next time. It's like, so speaking about cars, you drive a pretty fancy one. What do you think about the Maserati or the Porsche? So you can do things like that, right? I think when people know that a question is being asked as a casuality and not a fact finding or an interrogation, people lighten up a little bit, right? This is not the inquisitor. This is not trial. This is not let's prove something. No, this is strictly about two gentlemen or two people getting together and they want to learn about each other. Because you see, when people's hemispheres come together and we start to learn about others, a strange thing, but funny thing happens, really positive. We become more curious not only about them, but also about ourselves. And when that happens, it's like, oh, wow, I didn't even think about that before. I remember a friend of mine that I made a connection with a long time ago. And he was a little younger than me. And he had this very interesting game he wanted to play. So I didn't really know much about it. So I said, okay, I'll call him Ben. That wasn't his name, but I'll call him Ben. And he says, John, he says, I want you to do like a play. So what do you mean? Well, he had these kind of like makeshift, I don't call them stories, but you had to like solve them. It's kind of like a clue game, but like it's like he put this together. And when he did this, I was like, what's he doing? And then I got into it and I was like, oh, now I see where he's going with that. Like, you get what I mean? And if you're still not getting me, I'm going to give you an example in a minute. So the first time that him and I actually got together, we were talking about this, and he told me about these things that he did, and I said, "Oh, this is really, this is pretty cool." And so there were two things that were interesting about him. One is he loved comedy, and one time he even got me to go to a comedy club and literally do comedy, which was that was fun. The best way to say that, that was really, really fun. And it just was interesting because I find that, you know, being with him and just learning about how he was so inquisitive about these stories, right? He called them scripts, if I remember right. And he would spend some time putting these scripts together, all right? And when he it would be very, very interesting because I'd have to like figure out something. And you might say, gee, that sounds kind of interesting. Well, it does, but it was just kind of cool because here we are, we're just hanging out, and we're literally just doing like these like play scripts, he called them. And that was very interesting for me. And I think the reason it was interesting is that um, people don't expect that you can have so much fun with a piece of paper. Now, John, what the heck are you talking about, a piece of paper? Well, I'm glad you asked me. So, you've probably played the game in the car before. I'm thinking of something, and it's not moving itself. Okay, can I ask a question? Sure. Um, is it red? No. Is it found in the car? Yes. Now remember, you can only ask yes or no questions. So I'm doing this for a reason. These are close-ended questions because that's how this game works. So he used to call the thing, it was called play cases. I think that's what he called it play cases. And so one of the examples, I'm going to give you one. Case one was the Olympics. U.S. divers, he said they all drowned in London. And Vladimir Hortiskovich works in a U.S. swim factory. Okay. He puts a chemical in the pool that reacts with a chemical sewn into the bathing suits. Motive? She heard that they would be losing the all Team USA swimming suits next year because the company was being sold to a company located in Russia that was relative of hers. What do you have to find out? After routine pool cleaning, they noticed the pressure was much higher and there was a strange smell coming from the filter room. They found the same bottles in her hotel that she threw out and traced it back with her prints. Now, you see what I did? I basically created a scenario. He called them play cases. And I gave you the scenario, but I also gave you what you had to find out. Kind of like a clue thing, but it's really neat because I never realized you could have so much fun with a piece of paper. And when I met him, I'm like, what are we gonna do? He says, well, let's do a play case. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I do these all the time. And I was like, oh, that doesn't sound too interesting. And then we did it, and I was like, wow, this is great. I said, let's do another one. He's like, yeah, we can do it. And one we did, I think, took us over an hour, hour and a half. So the goal is that you had to be like the clue master. You had to come up with like this crime or this situation, and then you had to make sure that people were able to figure it out or try to figure it out. I mean, I think that's just like, I think that's so cool. It gives me an idea that I want to actually do one of these kind of like murder, one of these mysteries. They're cool because people like to ask questions. Now, if you can only ask close-ended questions, like let's say I'm here in the office and I was like, I spy something that is useful and you use it every day. Wow, that doesn't give me a lot of information. Okay, I'll give you another information. It has a primary color of black and it has a secondary color, but I'm not going to tell you what that is. Okay. Is this something that's plugged into the wall? It can be. Well, is it plugged into the wall right now? Yes. Hello there, Mr. Fedora. Nice to you to drop by. So we are talking right now about questions and answers. And when we ask the right questions, we get the right answers. Now, when you ask a question and only can have a yes or no answer, like in this case, I said, all right, is it plugged now? I said, yes. When was the last? I can't ask when was the last meeting because that's not an open or ended question. Did I use this? It's a thing, right? Yes. Did I use this within the last 20 minutes? Yes. To use this, do I need to use my hands to operate it? Yes. Okay. Does this thing make noise? It can. Does this thing have some kind of a connection beside power? It can if you're using it for that. Can this thing be I guess my question I'm going to ask is, can this thing show me something? Yes, it can. Okay. Is this thing connected to the internet? Yes. Now you could say, gee, is this thing my iPhone? No, it's not your iPhone. But it's connected to the internet. You got one more guess. Okay. It can be plugged in, not, but it is now. My phone's not plugged in. I get it. Is it my laptop? Yes, it's your laptop. You see how that worked? So we did that kind of inquisition back and forth. Ladies and gentlemen, I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It's been an amazing privilege, pleasure, and honor to be with you this evening. I want to let you know of BelieveMeAchieve.com before I say goodbye, because we are just pumping out so much content. Today, I actually visited with a friend of mine, Martin, who's a lizard, in a local pet shop. And I had a conversation with him. I said, hey, Martin, hoping you can help me out here. Just bought a new car and was wondering if you could save me 15 or 20% on my car insurance. And the people in the store were like laughing. It got 400 or 500 views in just a few seconds. I posted another video about a table we set for a party. It had 1,000 views in just a few minutes. So there's lots of great content out there. I'd encourage you to, of course, like, love, support my channel. I'd love you to comment below. Do you ask the right questions? Do you feel that you get the right answers? Maybe you're not asking the right questions. Let me know. Tag your friends, your colleagues, and your associates. Share this out with everyone you know on social media. And then be sure to, yes, go to my YouTube channel and look for the key phrase help keep our content free on John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. That's John space C space Morley space serial entrepreneur. And look for the key phrase help keep our content free. And below that, make the choice, ladies and gentlemen, to buy my team and I a cup of coffee. We'll be so grateful. Those pennies and dollars will invest them into new hardware, new technology, new equipment, new software, new facilities, and new staff to give you the most jaw-dropping, motivational content. I need to sign out tonight. I wish you a great rest of your morning, and I'll be back tomorrow, Wednesday evening, with another little tidbit about questions and answers. What kinds of questions should you ask? I'll see you tomorrow night. Take care, everyone.